Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for allowing us to present this. We are very excited, and this is a very interesting project. We are very excited to present this proposal to you. So, going over some of the history of our company, we are Valor Construction, established in 1984 in Kansas City. We also have hubs in Indianapolis, Dallas, Oklahoma, Atlanta. We're kind of all around the central region of the United States. Our specializations include government facilities, K-12 schools, and then green building. Moving on to our projects. First of all, our project, the Wayne L. Morse U.S. Courthouse. We thought that this project was very relevant because it has a very similar project size and project cost. It is a LEED Gold certification. It is also a government project in a high traffic area within downtown Nashville. And then moving on to the next project is the Tennessee State Museum. The project, once again, a similar project cost and a similar project size. Key similarities are the similar city regulations, once again, in downtown Nashville. Also similar project cost, and it is another government project. So we have extensive experience with government regulations. And then moving on to our project team. Our project executive is BJ Spencer. She couldn't join us today. She will be involved in approximately 10% pre-con and approximately 10% construction with 4 man-hours. I myself, Austin Elms, will be acting senior project manager, 100% involved with pre-con and construction. Our superintendent, Juan Carlos, will be our senior superintendent. Will be on 100% pre-con and 100% construction. Our senior estimator and lead estimator, Josh Beck, he couldn't join us today. We will have another member of the estimating team, also our quality control manager, Sam Pina, who will kind of help us out with that. And then Joseph Felicio will be our safety manager, who will be involved with 10% pre-con and about 100% construction. So moving on, we will go into, I will let Juan Carlos talk about our project schedule and timeline.
Hi, I'm Juan Carlos, and as you guys can see, our main milestones are going to be mobilization, which will start on May 8th. And the way we chose to do this project is we chose it to do it on 2 different phases. We will build Section A first and then Section B after. You might ask yourself why. It's easier for us to work with steel, and steel is better to break it down into 2 different sections. As you guys know, we can do our steel structure all the way from Section A all the way to the roof and move on to our Section B. We will be, after mobilization, we'll move on to earthwork and excavation, and then our underground MEP will come in. Our steel erection will start on the 8th, August 24 of 2020, and this is where we're gonna start our phase A. After we tap out on Section A, we'll move on to the steel erection on Section B. Sound and standardly, what we're going to be working on precast panels and the precast columns on Section A, and move our way to Section B while still erecting. Then after that, our substantial completion date would be May 6th of 2022, and a year from that, the core room will be constructed by another construction company. Thank you, guys.
So with that, we will move on to the project site logistics plan. So as you can see, we have put a lot of thought into this project site logistics plan with approximately 4 to 5 different entrances transitioning throughout the entire project. We have the construction office space down in the lower right left-hand corner. That's a double wide per spec. We also have a break under shaded areas where we can have lunch or safety stand down, whatever we need that space and area for. That long-term material laydown area on the south side of the site, we designed it to be able to hold approximately 20-foot length connexes for each of our contractors to use if they need that extra material. From coming in from on the right-hand side from construction gate C, We will have dumpster pickups that will come over from that road and then have the ability to pick up all 5 of those dumpsters for lead regulations. As you can see, we have multiple long-term laydown areas. And then for the sequence 1 for building A, we have designs the short-term material laydown area where building B is, which we will use to house like all of our steel that we're erecting for building A and any other miscellaneous items that we will be using for material A. Next one. Up on this right-hand side, or up on this bottom top side, you can see on the left-hand side, that's that darker blue area is where we have our buck hoists. So we will have material come in from that, and they can use, if they come in from the bottom right-hand side, they can use that egress path that we designed up at the very top in order to get material from the top, or from the bottom to the top. And then we will move on to the phase 2, where we'll be building building B. The main differences that change, next one, that change from this is we significantly shortened the amount of space that we have for short-term material laydown areas. But like I said, we will heavily utilize the long-term laydown areas at the bottom and all along the sides. One other thing that we designed is the temporary office trailers that one right next to the short-term laydown area will be acting as our conference room for OAC meetings and any other meetings, that it'll be a completely air-conditioned space also for spec. We will also have that buck hoist right in front of construction gate C for any material that we will need for building B. Moving here, you can see up on the upper left-hand corner, our crawler crane number 2. So when we first start, as you can see, that with the 212-foot lift radius, we will not be able to cover 100% of the building. So we will get as much as we can while we're there. And then we will use the crane number 2 travel path to move it over next to the rotunda in order to get 100% coverage on the sequence 1 and sequence 2. All right, so moving on, I will pass it over to, parking, yes. So parking, we have talked to the Nashville Public Library directly adjacent to our site, and we have agreed with them and worked out a deal where we can use approximately 1 entire floor of their 6-level parking lot for our subcontractors and us to use. We have worked out that if they have any thefts that come from our site, we will have a 3-strike deal. After 1 strike is just a warning, 2 strikes is a written warning, and then 3 strikes we will have in their contract that they will not be able to park in there anymore, and they will have to find their own public parking. So now moving on to our estimate, pass it over to Sam.
Hello, my name is Sam Pena. I'm the assistant estimator on the team. For our total project cost for just core and shell, we found a $96.8 million project cost. And then from there, we have our cost of work to include the superstructure, concrete, and foundation. Those are most of the big points. And then from there, we have our direct costs, or indirect costs, general conditions for 10 million, contingency and allowances, 3.8 million, and a builder's risk, 1.5 million. And we also have a very competitive 4% contractor's fee for 4 million. And from here, we'll go into a little bit more of a price breakdown. Some of the big ticket items are going to be the concrete, metals, openings, conveying equipment, and electrical. And in order to save some money on our project, we will be doing self-performing work such as concrete. We can alleviate issues in productivity and areas on the project to include money, time, quality, and safety. And for the money portion, we've calculated to save 3 to 5% by self-performing this concrete portion of the project. All right, and then for here, I'll be moving to my safety manager, Joseph.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Just Plesio, and we're going to be talking about the quality at Valor. So, first of all, the procurement phase, where we will fill out bids to subcontractors and try to find the best bid that is closest to our estimated bid. Where then we will have an interview with them to discuss the project site specific details, and from there we will choose the subcontractor.
Wonder if that low battery got to them.
Austin, your audio's gone out. Their laptop died, so they're jumping back on.
Right.
Okay.
Your stickler. Go too. I don't know why, but I like it.
Sorry, technical difficulty.
Sorry about that. We're back.
All right, yeah, we can hear you and see you.
I just made you the presenter again, so you should be able to share your screen.
Straightforward.
All right. I think we ended off with
Quality control.
quality control.
Yep, you were right at the screen doing quality control and pre-com.
Okay, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties, but we just talked about the procurement phase, and then we're going to the purchasing meeting where we meet with all the vendors and have all the documentation of the testing materials to make sure that all the material is up to par. And from there, we go to the pre-mobilization meeting where we, before any work starts, we talk about the safety hazard, the work constraints, and permits, anything that we need to get done right before we can break down and get everything started. From there, we go to the preparatory meeting where we have this meeting before each phase to talk about the big things that can lead to safety problems and quality problems. And we coordinate with the subcontractors to reiterate the owner's project requirements. And from there, we go to the initial inspection where we will test all the materials to make sure that everything is being installed properly and up to the owner's project requirements. Here at Valor, we take safety as our top priority. We want to make sure that everyone gets there in the morning and leaves the same way safely. And we know that safety problems can be a big problem for our project team the same way as it can be a big problem for your project team. This is going to be our emergency action plan, where in a situation where our trade partners and our employees need to evacuate immediately, everyone will proceed out to their corners, whichever one is nearest, and follow along the outside of the job site towards the parking lot on the other side along Church Street. These are our top hazards, fall hazards, where struck by, hot work, crane lifts, and blasting. We understand that this project is very unique when it comes to blasting, where the geotechnical report has even called out and strongly recommended blasting. We know concrete, the hot work, where we will have a lot of hot work on this, where all the concrete panels will be welded onto steel members. Struck by all the crane operations that will be proceeding. Then the COVID-19 action plan, we will have PPE option 1, PPE option 2, either one, with option 1 having disposable and an N95 mask, and PPE option 2 will have a face shield and N95 mask. We'll have proximity working options are everyone needs to be 6 feet apart unless they need to be working in a close vicinity. Then they will need to always have their PPE on. We'll also have the stretch and flex and make sure that everyone is 6 feet apart, and we'll be spreading out across the job site. And person 1 and person 2, person 1, if they are sick and they test positive for COVID, then person 2 is anyone that is in close proximity to that person will have to be tested. Person 1 will be sent home for 14 days, and person 2 will be tested. And we'll also have temperature checks on the south side on Commerce Street. As everyone comes in, we'll test their temperature. In conclusion, this is galore, and thank you so much for listening to our presentation. And we hope that you choose us.
Any questions?
All right. Well, thank you for that, guys. Yep, we've got a whole bunch of questions for you, so get ready. Now, good presentation. Thank you for running through that for us. We'll do kind of a round robin format with the questions. I'll lead off with 1 or 2, and then we've got Amanda and her team there in Nashville will chime in with some, and we've also got Daniel Shirkey who will have a question or 2 for you as well, I'm sure. So the first one I've got for you is on one of your relevant projects, the Wayne Morse Courthouse. You guys have listed a reference to Dunn Construction as providing a bunch of VE savings for that project. Can you just clarify, was that project something that you guys constructed solely by yourselves, or was that a joint venture between your firm and Dunn Construction?
So I'll speak a little bit to that. That was a joint venture. So what we were able to do with the value engineering is we just kind of looked at like just basic skimming out the tops, so like any low access mechanical electrical rooms. Like we tried to save with paints. We offered to change all the domestic copper piping to PEX piping throughout the entire project. Just little projects, little amounts like that, which ended up leading to a big cost saving at the very end of the project.
Okay, thank you for that. Amanda, did you have any questions? Oh, we can't hear you.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yep, there you go.
So, quick question on your LEED scorecard. How many points are you guys looking to achieve to obtain LEED Gold, and what's your highest risk in obtaining that certification?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yep, how many points are you guys trying to get with LEED, and what are your biggest risks to go do that?
So I believe we are trying to achieve 6 LEED credits, if I can remember correctly. Our biggest concerns is we are using approximately the same callouts for both the LEED and sites credits. So I think both of them called for approximately 85% of demolition reusability or recyclables. So we believe that we are able to do that with all the asphalt being a 100% recyclable product. We believe that alone, as well as all the water mains and all the water meters that we will have to demo, we believe that we can hit both of those. But like I said, it's one of those things where if we can't hit it, it's going to screw up both of those. But we are pretty confident that we can hit both of those credits just by hitting pretty much the exact same credit callouts for both sites and LEED.
Okay. So 3 questions. You mentioned the proposal that Valor Construction was ranked number 3 for the best place to work for LGBTQ equality, and I was curious who that ranking was through.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, sure. In the proposal, you guys had identified that you were ranked number 3 for the best place to work for LGBTQ equality, and I was just curious who that ranking was through. I haven't seen that before, so I was just curious.
Yeah, we just had that ranking throughout some businesses, and they gave us that ranking because we give equal jobs, or they are able to get jobs equally no matter what, and they are not discriminated against.
Okay.
That's it.
And then also you guys did note as well that you were going to be performing blasting for the rock excavation portion of the project. I'm so curious what parameters you have in place for protecting the historic building that's also on the same block, and then as well as neighbor communications.
We're going to be doing that by, we understand that it has a lot of noise and is a very dangerous substance. So we're going to be taking care of the explosive material, making sure that nothing happens to it, stored properly, transported properly. And whenever we go ahead and use it, we'll have alarms or like signals. We'll have a warning signal that will be blasted 5 minutes prior to blasting. We'll have blasting signal, and whenever we will proceed to blast it, we are going to attempt to drill in a hole and set the explosive in there properly. And it's going to be small blasts that are very contained to be safer, not have a whole bunch of rock flying everywhere. These blasts are going to be very small, contained to get the job done, even though there might be a lot of blasts.
And then to add on to that, we will, for those controlled blasts, we will be placing blasting mats on top of the area where we will be attempting to blast to greatly decrease the amounts of residue and debris that comes out of that. As well as that, we will be notifying all of the other buildings and building owners and building residents around the area at least 2 days prior, letting them know that we will be blasting on this date. And we will also be contacting the Nashville Emergency Services to make sure that they know how to handle calls, calling out saying, I hear large blasting explosions, can you all check it out? Just so that we keep them in the loop of our construction practices.
Okay, thank you. And then my last question, you guys had Hensel Phelps listed on the cover page of your proposal. Was the intent to do a joint venture with them similar to Dunn?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any reason they weren't part of the presentation today?
So to be honest, we included Hensel Phelps. They were supposed to be a partnering project, but per the actual competition, we just wanted to make sure that like we knew that this is a Hensel Phelps project, and we are donating our services. Not donating, we are offering our services to help their projects, and hoping to win it for ours.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, I got a question for you guys. Looking over your schedule, it looks like you have the exterior glazing and glass starting before the precast. How do you, given some of the project conditions and architectural features of the precast, how do you plan to make that work, especially specific to the punched opening?
Okay, so that's what we broke it into two different phases. While we're working simultaneously doing steel erection, and after finishing steel erection on section A, we'll be starting on this precast and then the windows and everything simultaneously and working with the crane. So we'll be working with the two different trade partners to one day do precast and the other day do the windows. We just thought it would be easier to do this. I know it might seem like a hassle to do one day for the trade partner, one for the other, but since we only had two cranes and we only could fit two crawler cranes on this project, it would be easier to do it this way.
Have you guys figured out a good solution to attach the glass to the precast or vice versa?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I got a couple quick questions on your estimate. We talked about a crane, and in your GCs, I see that you carried a crane, but I did not see where you carried a crane operator. Can you tell me how you're going to cover those costs?
Those costs will be coming out of our contingencies and allowances.
Okay. And then the second part really that I had on the estimate was you talked about a buck hoist in your site U plan, which was good, but I didn't see in your GCs where you carried a buck hoist. How do you plan on covering those costs?
That will be covered under the contingency and allowance as well.
Okay. Can I ask one more? So I got one more then for you, since you're going to beat up your contingency quite well. In your clarifications and assumptions under Division 9, your finishes, you stated that the estimate doesn't include interior finish out on levels 2 through 6. So that's interior framing, floor finishes, ceiling finishes, wall systems, millwork. Is that in the estimate, or where is that located?
So that includes all the exterior shell. So that includes all the glass facade and that exterior glazing. It does not include any of the windows that may or may not be in the interior of floors 2 through 6.
Okay.
I've got a quick safety question. For your COVID PPE options 1 and 2, option 2 had a full face shield. If you accompany that with a hard hat, you have risk of potentially overheating your workers. How are you going to handle potential overheating and heat stress if we go with option 2 PPE?
Well, we have mandatory breaks whenever the temperature is hot, and even when the temperature is not super hot. We have mandatory water breaks. We'll have watering stations. We have cooling stations. We're not managers. We're not slave drivers. We're trying to be on schedule, but we're trying to keep everyone safe. We have the lower safety is our top priority. So we give mandatory breaks, have to do breaks, and they have to cool off.
That's great. And you guys have shade structures shown on your site U plan?
Yes, ma'am.
Daniel, did you have any questions? I don't think we can hear you. There we go.
How are we doing now? Is that better?
Better.
All right. So I noticed in your proposal, I was looking at the site logistics plan, and the crane radius is kind of elliptical in shape. Can you pull that up by chance? Your site U plan. I think maybe it's distorted in your proposal. So I just wanted to confirm that your crane radius is accurate in how you calculated it. You feel confident with that?
Yes, we do feel confident with that. The reason we decided to go with crawler cranes is because they have such a high lift capacity, and we were thinking about like the weight of those precast concrete panels and having to make those long distance pulls, and we didn't feel confident that we'd be able to get those heavy lifts with the tower crane, which is why we decided to go way above and beyond with a 180-ton crawler crane. So we are very confident that we can hit those 20-foot lifts, especially with, I forgot the exact dimensions of the crane that we picked out, but I think it's 240 at its max length, which even at its max length should be able to hold approximately 20,000 pounds or 10 tons, which obviously we're going to try and stay under the 75% lift capacity so that we don't have any dangerous lifts or high risk lifts. So yes, we are confident that we can hit the 212-foot lifts, and we will try and minimize those as much as possible. Obviously, those will be high risk. But yeah, we will try and we're confident and we can minimize those high risk activities as much as possible.
Okay. And then 2 questions related to the offsite parking. Is that cost accounted for in your estimate? And if so, where?
It is not counted in the estimate. We have written into all of our trade partners' contracts that we have coordinated with them. If there is an additional cost, like I said, it's written into their contract that they will have to cover it, and that will be agreed upon once we sign the contracts.
Okay. And then I wanted to, it's good you're preparing for the unforeseens, but with regards to the theft policy you outlined, who's going to be monitoring thefts, and how do you intend to kind of resolve them if you get accused of having worked with thefts on site? What's kind of the scenarios you're thinking through?
So with thefts, we do have security stations that will be working overnight. They do include cameras, and we included 2 of those at each corners of the site. How we will deal with accusations of theft that will be a completely internal issue. We don't want that to be going throughout the job site saying that so and so may or may not be stealing. So we will try and get both parties, the accusatory party and the accusee party, to get together and kind of work that out amongst ourselves, with Valor being kind of the main mediator in that, so that we don't cause any bad fortunes in between the companies, especially since we will have to continue work throughout the project.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that brings us to our time. We had a few more questions for you, but we're out of time. So wanted to thank you guys for your time, your efforts through this whole competition. We know it's been even more challenging than it normally is. So you all should be commended for your hard work, for your perseverance. Really appreciate you guys taking the extra effort over the summer to finish this thing out strong, participate in the presentations. We know it hasn't been easy, so definitely impressed and proud of you guys. Pat yourselves on the back for it. Hopefully you'll be able to join us in a few hours here for the debrief. Amanda and her team have a great presentation. They're going to roll through the details of their challenges building the project. And then we'll also be able to hopefully take a few questions from you guys to explain how we did it. So again, thanks for all your efforts, and we'll hopefully see you in a few hours.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, take care. Nice job.
Great job, guys.
Thanks.